The American Classic XB. Let's check it out. The American Classic series is part of the Metroarms 1911 line. These are made in the Philippines. I suspect highly that they're made at Rock Island Armory. But one of the things that's really unique about these firearms is that they are hand-fitted. Very tight tolerances. They make really excellent guns for competition. One of the things about the Metroarms line is it is really pretty high-end. I mean, the fitting and the finish is exceptional. With the American Classic series, you're getting really a top-notch, well-fitted handgun, but for a lesser price. Now this is the XB, which is a 17+1 9mm. They also make it in 45, and I believe it's 14+1. It's a double stack magazine, and this gun is solid. But one of the big things about this handgun to me is the recoil is almost nothing, and a lot of it has to do with the heft. But this is a great gun to take to the range. Not only has the 1911 been around since 1911, they just continue to have a lot of popularity. They're just solid handguns. Of course, they served the U.S. military up until 1985 and still used in special ops groups all over the world. One thing about this particular model, though, is that it is a double stack. This is actually a 9mm. It has 17 in one. You can get the 45, which has 14 in one. So there's a lot of capacity. Still has that 1911 grip angle, all the features. I mean, it's just an excellent firearm to take to the range. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to drop our all steel 17 in one magazine and check the chamber, and it is empty. One of the things, though, I do want to go over a little bit, because we do have new shooters, people that have less experience, is that this is a single action pistol. Now, once you rack the slide, the hammer will come into the rear position, and a lot of people carry what they call cocked and locked. They'll just run your safety up, and then that way they can carry it, and then if you need it, of course, you can fire the pistol. But with the hammer down, the trigger does not actuate the hammer. And so when you first enter your magazine and you load around in the chamber, it's going to bring the hammer into the rear position, and from here you can fire, and subsequent shots will bring the hammer back. And so that's just one of the things about single action. With double action, you pull the trigger and it actuates the hammer even though it's down. And this is, again, a 1911, and that's the way 1911s have been made, Browning high powers and other pistols. Now the frame and the slide are made from 4140 steel. It does have a cold hammer forged barrel. It is nickel plated, and it's 5 inches. This is a government size slide, but again, with the thickness to accommodate the magazines, it is quite a bit thicker. We do have aluminum grips, which I think is a really nice touch. It has the Metroarms logo right here, and it has checkering. Now this checkering is not super aggressive, but you do have a flat mainspring housing with serrations, but nothing on the front strap. But it is a thick, fairly thick handgun. It does fill your hand. Now my hands are medium, and honestly, it's not too much to grab. But if you have smaller hands, it could be a little bit of a chore. I know my daughter had a little bit of trouble just getting to the trigger. She felt a little bit less confidence in reaching that trigger. It does have a beaver tail grip safety, which you have to actuate that to be able to pull the trigger. And it does have a memory notch right here. That just helps you to get a hold of it and deactivate the grip safety. You have your safeties, your frame safeties here,
and they are ambidextrous. They cannot be engaged unless the hammer is in the rear position. The hammer is a commander style hammer, so you can bring it back with your thumb, and of course with the beaver tail it kind of rides here. It keeps from slide bite, but it also allows your hand to really ride up high on the frame, and it just really shoots well. We have a skeletonized trigger right here, which is very light. One of the things about a 1911 is they usually have exceptional trigger pulls. We're going to check trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. We're having to depress our grip safety. 3 pounds, 14.5 ounces. 3 pounds, 14.8 ounces. 4 pounds, 1.5 ounces. You do have your slide stop right here, which is a traditional 1911 slide stop, but it is recessed into the frame because of the larger frame. You have your standard mag release right here. Of course, if we have a mag in it, we're going to check how that pops out, and it does. Doesn't really eject out, kind of just, well, it does. It pops it out. But the magazine itself is all steel, and it's really slick. It does have where it comes up to the point, and so that makes it actually easier to insert into your mag well. The mag well itself does not have any kind of bevel to it, but this serves as a bevel. Cocking serrations are easy to grab, plus it has front cocking serrations as well. But one of the things I want to show you, especially with the slide, is how smooth that action is. Now this is in 9mm, but guys, I'll tell you, that is one of the easiest 9mm slides I pulled back. I mean, it is so smooth. These are 1911 replaceable sights if you want to put anything on here, but it does have a 3-dot orange sight with a white post. And surprisingly, it's really excellent for target. I mean, I was able to get some really tight groups using these sights. The American Classic series is part of the Metroarms series, or MAC. They make really high quality 1911s, and the American Classic series is more of an affordable line, even though these are still hand fitted. It says precision fit for precision fire is what they say, and it is a really tight gun. I mean, if you'll notice, there is no play between the slide and the frame. It's just good and solid. And it does have a flare and lowered ejection port for reliability. The dimensions are 8.4 inches in length, it's 5.4 inches in height, and it's 1.5 inches in width, and obviously that has a lot to do with the double stack magazine. And the weight on the American Classic XB, 2 pounds, 12 ounces. It's definitely heavy. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the 9mm ammo, and all made in the USA, good shooting stuff. And also a big thanks to Magalula to providing loaders and saving my thumbs. Especially with this big old magazine.
Now, one of the big things that I noticed out at the range, beside just the lack of recoil, as we've shown before, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the magazine, this slide comes back so easy. I mean, it just glides back, and you know, it just makes it for a very soft shooting handgun. But one of the things about that slide coming back is that it actually, because of the frame, it has kind of a slow pull up of the round. I mean, it feeds well. It really reminds me more of like a 22 1911, just the way that it feeds, because the slide is fairly lightweight compared to the frame. One of the problems, though, is that if you're not careful and you don't have a good, solid, tight grip on it, you can have some limp wristing. My daughter, when she was shooting it, she had a couple of times where it just wouldn't go all the way into battery. For me, I didn't have any problems. I just was able to hold on to it, and I just got a good, solid grip, and it functioned every time. And so after really looking at it, I really believe that just her limp wristing just a little bit allowed for the slide not to quite come back all the way. But other than that, the reliability was just excellent as far as all the shooting that I did. I'll tell you, the ambidextrous safety is really easy to engage, and of course, if you're a lefty, the beaver tail, good and solid. The grip is thick because of the 17+1 magazine, but it gives you a really good feel in the hand. The 1911 is one of those just incredibly ergonomic pistols, but this really gives you some heft, and yet you get 17 rounds. And the accuracy was excellent.
Now we're going to demonstrate disassembly. Make sure the gun is unloaded, magazine's out, and it is. First thing we want to do with the 1911 is the same disassembly process. First thing we're going to do is depress our recoil spring guide rod plug. And we're going to push down the slide just a little bit because there's a tight fit between the barrel bushing, which is this right here that we're twisting around, all the way to 9 o'clock. Now this recoil spring guide rod plug is under tension, so we got to relieve it out real easy. Then again, we're going to bring our barrel bushing around to about the 5 o'clock position, and then it'll come right out. Go ahead and remove your spring and your plug. Next, we're going to bring back our slide. Now we're going to bring back this notch to match with our slide stop right here. And then on the other side, we're going to push the slide stop through. Now we're going to pull out our slide stop. It is recessed, so it's a little more difficult to pull out. Here we go, pulling out our slide stop, and then go ahead and let the slide just go forward, and your guide rod right here. It is a shortened guide rod, which is traditional for the 1911. If it's a full-length guide rod, it's a lot of trouble to pull out. And then we're going to take the barrel, slide it right out of the front of the slide. Have a really nice feed ramp, and this just helps for reliability. And again, we have a chrome plated barrel, and again, being cold hammer forged, these are going to last for a long time. Here you can see the 1911. It is in the 70 series, so it's going to give you a better trigger pull, but it's not really drop safe, and that's one of the things about the Series 70. Series 80 has a firing pin block built in. Then here you can see your standard 1911. And guys, I know that's a little old school, but it's not really that difficult once you get used to it. Reassembly is in reverse order. First thing we're going to do is to insert our barrel again from the front of your slide. We're going to take our guide rod and our recoil spring. Go ahead and put it into place. You're going to want to make sure that the barrel link kind of comes down because you're going to fit your slide stop through the barrel link. Go ahead and slide it on. Once you get the slide attached, before you bring it back, go ahead and insert your slide stop. Now be careful not to scratch the frame with your slide stop. Then we're just going to bring back and get that notch in the right place, just like this. Then we're just going to give it a nice little push and then move it forward. Now take your barrel plug. We're going to start at the 5 o'clock position, like this, and then again bring it around to the 9 o'clock position. We're going to take our recoil spring guide rod plug, bring it in, turn that barrel bushing, and it'll snap into place just like that. Go ahead and test for function, and we're good to go.
The retail price on the American Classic XB is $774. That's on the Eagle Imports website. I did find it at the Sportsman's Guide for $673. Great thing is they give a 20% discount if you use SUCH at the coupon code. In fact, anything on the Sportsman's Guide website, you get $20 off any $100 or more purchase, which is great for them to offer.
Now, as far as pros and cons of the pistol, it's a 1911. It shoots like that. I mean, it is a very pointable. It really goes to the natural point of aim, and I love that. I mean, it's a low bore axis. It's just a really sweet trigger. The fit and finish is really good. It is kind of a matte finish, which, you know, if you had a really high polish or a nice, very nice blued finish, it's going to raise the price quite a bit. Ambidextrous safety, beaver tail, commander hammer, and you know, the aluminum grips are really nice. You've got front and rear cocking serrations, and guys, the sights are really nice, but the great thing is you can change those out very easily. There's a lot of options. Most of the parts on this handgun are for your standard 1911, but the grips are not, and that is one thing I would say would be a con. Possibly if you didn't like these grips, you wanted to do something else, you'd have to find some type grips that would fit this handgun, and I'm not really sure what grips are compatible with the American Classic XB. The magazines, great, but I really couldn't find where you could find extra magazines that'll fit this. I'm not really sure. I looked around, but I didn't see anything. I'm sure that you can get in touch with Eagle Imports, and I know they offer these magazines. I just didn't see them on their website. So that would be, and you only get one magazine as well. Yes, it does hold 17 plus 1, but I really like to have a couple of magazines, especially with a new pistol. But I think overall, for the price of a really nice 1911, I think that this is an excellent handgun. One thing again that you'll have to be careful of, if you're you don't have a good solid grip on the handgun, you know, there is a possibility for malfunctions because of limp wristing. You just have to get a good solid grip on it. And other than that, I think this is an excellent handgun. The accuracy was just top notch.
And I want to thank Eagle Imports for sending the American Classic XB for this test and evaluation. This has been my first experience with any of the Metroarms 1911s, and I'll tell you what, it's been just fantastic. This is a soft shooting gun in 9mm, and I'm sure 45 would give you just that extra hump and 14 in 1. So check out Metroarms, especially the American Classic series. I think it's a great line of 1911s that are very affordable. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.
The 1911 has been around. The sights, I feel like I'm having a race. Let's just stop. Our magazine, guide rod plug, magazine plug. This is a magazine plug. I don't know what's doing in front of the gun.